Hello, everyone, and welcome to English Pod. My name is Marco.
My name is Catherine, and today we have a very special lesson for you. This is actually the first in a series of lessons about interview skills.
That's right. For 10 lessons that you will hear once a week for the next 10 weeks, we're going to take a look at an interview, a job interview, and we're going to take you step by step throughout the whole interview process, as well as teaching you some useful words and phrases that you can use next time you're at a job interview in English.
Exactly. So pay attention. Today is the first day we're going to be entering the office, and we're going to learn some things that are important for talking to your future employer or meeting people in an interview.
Okay.
Come in.
Mr. Parsons?
Ah, you must be Rebecca. Please do come in.
Thank you for making some time to see me, Mr. Parsons. It's a pleasure to meet you finally.
The pleasure's all mine, Rebecca. Have a seat, please. Now, would you like any refreshments, tea or coffee?
A coffee would be lovely, thank you. Black, no sugar.
No problem. Sally, can we have 2 coffees, please? 1, no milk or sugar. So, Rebecca, I understand you had a first interview with Miss Childs last week?
Yes, that's correct. She filled me in on the details of the job on the telephone.
Great. Well, I'm glad to say she recommended you for a second interview, and here we are. Perhaps we can start by discussing your background and resume details a little.
Yes, of course.
All right, we're back. So now let's take a look at language takeaway.
Language takeaway.
So one of the first things that you're offered when you go to interview at a company is refreshments.
Right. Would you like any refreshments?
This sounds complicated, but it's actually a very simple word for beverages or drinks.
Right. So that's why he offered her tea or coffee.
Right. So refreshments are cola, coffee, tea. But how do you answer this? If I say, would you like any refreshments, Marco?
You can say, yes, water would be fine, thank you.
Okay, water would be fine. Or I'd like a Coke.
Or I'd like a cup of coffee.
Cup of coffee. Great. Refreshments are drinks. And after that, the characters are talking about the details of the job. So what are these details? How are they different from the job itself?
Well, the details of the job are the specific points about the job. So, for example, if she applied for a job as a receptionist, the details of the job would be answering the phones, taking messages, receiving people at the office. Those are the main details of the job.
Also, we need someone who works from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., someone who is going to come 5 days a week. Mm-hmm. So the details are basically more information about something.
Right, the specific information about a general topic. And it's not only related to work. The details can be of many, many things.
Right. So if I ask you about your details, Marco, you could maybe tell me your phone number, your address.
My full name.
Full name or birthday. So these are details.
Okay. And, after they talked about the details of the job, after she explained that she received the details of the job by phone, Mr. Parsons said that she was recommended for a second interview.
So Rebecca is coming to the office for a second time. She already had one interview, and the woman she talked to the first time recommended her for a second interview. So the verb here is to recommend.
Right. And you can recommend a person, an object, a movie, and that's basically you are saying that this is good and that it's worth seeing, it's worth buying, it's worth interviewing.
For example, I really like the movie Avatar. Marco, I recommend you see it.
Okay, or I can say, Catherine recommended the movie Avatar.
Okay, so Catherine liked it, Catherine decided, Catherine suggested or told Marco it would be good.
That's right. So to recommend. And then Mr. Parsons said that they're going to start discussing her background.
Well, background, think of the word back. That means behind. This usually means a person's history at a job or at many jobs, or even their educational background, information about where they studied.
That's right. So the background, maybe a person's background is, as you said, all their history, work, study, many, many different things, even maybe seminars or courses that they assisted.
Or even just their personal history. For example, Marco, you speak English like an American. What's your background? Because I know you're not American.
Right, I'm from Ecuador.
Okay, background. So that means someone's personal history.
That's right. And hand in hand with background, we have a piece of paper that usually you send into an employer to apply for a job. This is the famous resume.
Resume. So you're right, Marco. Resume is a document. In this case, it is a document that lists your work history, your working background. And it's a very important part of applying for a job. And usually you send your resume before you go for the interview so that the employer can look and see, is this person qualified? How old are they? What's their work history?
And, well, very similar to a resume, you may have heard a CV.
That's right. A CV is a lot like a resume. It stands for curriculum C, vitae V, CV, and it's more detailed. It has more details about a person's academic or study history.
Exactly. So a resume, I guess it's very similar to a summary of your work background, whereas a CV will have more details about your education, maybe more details about your work background, what did you do, objectives, etc.
Great. So maybe we should listen to today's dialogue one more time, and when we come back, we'll be talking about some of the interesting phrases we heard in today's dialogue.
Come in.
Mr. Parsons?
Ah, you must be Rebecca. Please do come in.
Thank you for making some time to see me, Mr. Parsons. It's a pleasure to meet you finally.
The pleasure's all mine, Rebecca. Have a seat, please. Now, would you like any refreshments, tea, or coffee?
A coffee would be lovely, thank you. Black, no sugar.
No problem. Sally, can we have 2 coffees, please? 1, no milk or sugar.
Certainly, Mr. Parsons.
So, Rebecca, I understand you had a first interview with Miss Childs last week?
Yes, that's correct. She filled me in on the details of the job on the telephone.
Great. Well, I'm glad to say she recommended you for a second interview, and here we are. Perhaps we can start by discussing your background and resume details a little.
Yes, of course.
All right, we're back. So now we have 3 phrases that we're going to take a look at on Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
All right, so when Rebecca arrived, Mr. Parsons said, "Ah, you must be Rebecca. Please do come in."
Okay, so you could say, please come in. This means, please come into my office, or come on in.
Right.
But here, the interesting thing about this is the word do.
Right, he's using the verb do, and it may sound wrong. It may sound like it's unnecessary because you do have a phrasal verb there already, come in. So you can just say, please come in. But when he says, please do come in, he is emphasizing on her to come in.
That's right. So this is a very polite way to invite someone inside. You can also say, please do have a seat.
All right, so you are emphasizing in a very polite way to please sit down.
That's right. Please do come in.
So there are many other ways that you can use it. So for example, if you really want your friend to call you sometime next time you're in town, you say, please do call me next time you're in town.
Please do. You could even say it afterwards, simply please do, for emphasis.
Right, so if I say, hey, Catherine, I'm going to call you next time I'm in Shanghai.
Please do.
There we go.
So that means please do call.
All right, so please do come in. Please do call. All right.
After that, Rebecca says, thank you for making some time to see me, Mr. Parsons. So she is happy that Mr. Parsons is available and wants to talk to her. This is a very common phrase that means, thank you so much for interviewing me.
Right. So I guess it's kind of a way of saying, look, I know that you're a busy person and that you don't have very much time, so thank you for making some time to see me.
Right. So this isn't just about interviews. You could say this phrase for meeting with a client or meeting with even a friend. You could say, hey, Marco, I know you were really busy last week, but thank you so much for making some time to see me.
Right. So you're just basically saying, I understand that you're very busy, but I appreciate that you made some time to see me. All right. And well, she said, you know what? It's a pleasure to meet you. But Mr. Parsons replied by saying, the pleasure's all mine.
All right, another very, very polite phrase that you hear a lot. Maybe some of you have heard the phrase, it's a pleasure to meet you before, but the response, the answer is very interesting. The pleasure's all mine.
Right.
So this stands for the pleasure is all mine.
Right. And I guess it's the most appropriate response if somebody says, it's a pleasure to meet you. Because if you don't say this, I think you may sound a little bit arrogant.
Well, you could say it's a pleasure to meet you too.
Right.
But this is it's another way to answer the person, because you don't always want to say it's a pleasure to meet you. It's a pleasure to meet you too.
Right.
This is a way to say something different and to say, well, the pleasure's all mine.
Right. But it's very important to answer something, right? Because if I say it's a pleasure to meet you and you say thank you, it's like,
no, that is a little bit arrogant. So
Right.
you have to say something.
Right.
And we recommend that you say this, or you just say the same thing back. So it's nice to meet you. Oh, it's nice to meet you too.
Right. Okay, and our last phrase is actually when they were talking about, again, the details of the job, and she said that Miss Childs filled her in on the details. She said, she filled me in on the details of the job on the telephone.
Okay, so this is an interesting verb, to fill in, or in this case, to fill someone in, to fill me in, to fill you in. This basically means to tell someone about something.
Right.
Or if I know a little bit of information, but not a lot of information about something, this way you're telling me more so I understand it better.
Right, I'm giving you all the information. So maybe somebody is talking about a rumor in the office, and you go and you say, hey, fill me in on the gossip.
All right, so you want to know all about it.
Right.
Or for example, Marco, we're having a party next Sunday, but I'll have to fill you in on the details around Friday.
Okay, because you don't have all the information right now.
Yeah, I don't know yet what time or where.
Okay, so to fill someone in is to give them all the information or to give them more information.
Fill me in.
Fill me in. All right. Why don't we take a look at our dialogue for the last time, and we'll be back in a little bit.
Come in.
Mr. Parsons?
Ah, you must be Rebecca. Please do come in.
Thank you for making some time to see me, Mr. Parsons. It's a pleasure to meet you finally.
The pleasure's all mine, Rebecca. Have a seat, please. Now, would you like any refreshments, tea, or coffee?
A coffee would be lovely, thank you. Black, no sugar.
No problem. Sally, can we have 2 coffees, please? 1, no milk or sugar.
Certainly, Mr. Parsons.
So, Rebecca, I understand you had a first interview with Miss Childs last week?
Yes, that's correct. She filled me in on the details of the job on the telephone.
Great. Well, I'm glad to say she recommended you for a second interview, and here we are. Perhaps we can start by discussing your background and resume details a little.
Yes, of course.
All right, so as we mentioned, this is the first part of a 10-part series of the interview series. And this is going to be very, very helpful. As you saw in this first part, we're just taking a look at some basic vocab and phrases that you can use when you're just introducing yourself. You're just getting started in the interview.
So what we're going to be looking at later on is talking about yourself, answering questions. But many people don't realize that one of the most important parts of the interview is the very, very beginning. Because some psychologists say that we make a decision about a person or how we like a person within the first, 30 seconds of talking to them.
Yeah.
So it's important that you speak confidently and that you say some of these English phrases comfortably. You know, it's a pleasure to meet you. Oh, the pleasure's mine. These little things will really help you.
That's right. And I think as talking about introductions and how this woman arrived to the office, I think one of the key things that we would recommend is to look that person in the eye and give a firm handshake, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how many people actually realize how important this is. It's very, very important because as an interviewer, the person or the manager who's interviewing you, I think you can tell a lot from a person if somebody gives you a very flimsy handshake or doesn't look you in the eye.
That's right. Well, I think in many ways people think, oh, this person is not confident, or this person is uncomfortable, or this person is hiding something.
Yeah.
And so it's important really to be yourself, to smile, to look at a person in the eyes, especially in a lot of like American companies or Canadian companies. I know in other parts of the world, smiling with a stranger is unusual or maybe unacceptable. But in America, it means I'm confident. Here I am. Here's my name. Nice to meet you. It's a very important part of an introduction.
Yes, very true. So we actually want to hear what you think. How important for you is a handshake, a firm handshake, looking someone in the eye, or how do interviews work in your country?
Hello, my friends. Have you ever gone to a job interview? How did you feel before walking into the room? Were you nervous or excited? In today's story, we'll follow two characters, Sophia and James, as they prepare for their interviews. At the end, I'd love to hear about your own experiences too. Sophia and James were close friends. They both lived in the same city and had finished their university studies just a few months ago. Every morning, they met at a small coffee shop to talk about life, plans, and dreams. One morning, something special happened. Sophia rushed into the coffee shop with a big smile on her face. "James, guess what? I finally got a call from Bright Future Company. They invited me for an interview next week." James's eyes widened. "That's amazing, Sophia. Congratulations." He paused for a moment, then laughed. "You won't believe this. I also got an interview at Global Tech Solutions on the same day." Both of them looked at each other in surprise. Two friends, two interviews, one big chance. Sophia took a deep breath. "I'm happy, but also nervous. I don't know what to say when I first walk into the interview room. Should I shake hands? Should I smile? What if I make a mistake?" James nodded. "Yes, me too. I want to make a good first impression, but honestly, I don't even know what kind of phrases people usually use at the beginning." They sat down with their coffee and began to think. Sophia pulled out her notebook. "Maybe we should prepare together. We can practice some common interview phrases. For example, I've heard interviewers often say, 'Please do come in.'" James repeated the phrase slowly. "Please do come in." Yes, that sounds polite. And then maybe they will offer something, like, "Would you like any refreshments?" Sophia smiled. "Oh, that's good. And then we can answer politely." I think another useful phrase is, "It's a pleasure to meet you." James nodded, and the correct reply would be, "The pleasure is all mine." That sounds very professional. Both of them laughed softly, repeating the sentences again and again to make them sound natural. Sophia closed her notebook. "Okay, this is a good start. We're learning step by step. Tomorrow, let's meet again, and we'll practice more phrases for introductions." James raised his cup. "Deal. Let's make some time every day to prepare. We'll help each other until we are ready." The two friends clinked their coffee cups together, feeling excited. Their journey to learn job interview skills had just begun. The next morning, Sophia and James met again at their usual coffee shop. They both brought their notebooks and pens. They were serious now. The interviews were coming soon, and they wanted to be ready. James opened his notebook first. "Sophia, yesterday we practiced the greetings. But I think after the greeting, the interviewer will usually ask us about our background. Do you know how to answer that?" Sophia nodded slowly. "Yes, I think so. Background means my education, my work experience, and maybe a little about my skills. For example, I can say, I studied business management at Greenfield University, and I worked part-time in a bookstore for 2 years. James wrote that down. That's a good example. So it's like a short story about yourself, right? Not too long, but clear. Sophia smiled. Exactly. And of course, the interviewer will look at our resume. The resume already has details, but when they say, "Can you fill me in on the details?" we should be ready to explain more. James practiced the phrase slowly. Fill me in on the details. He repeated it 2 times. Yes, that means tell me more, explain more. That's useful. Sophia leaned forward. James, how would you answer if they ask you to talk about your background? James thought for a moment and then said, maybe I can say, I studied computer science at Riverdale University. I also completed an internship at a software company where I helped design mobile apps. Sophia clapped her hands. Perfect. That's clear and simple. It shows education and experience. You don't need to talk about everything, only the most important things. James grinned. Thanks, but sometimes I get nervous. What if I forget my words? Sophia laughed gently. Don't worry. That's why we are practicing every day. We'll make some time for it, and soon it will feel natural. James nodded. You're right. Practice makes us confident. Tomorrow, maybe we can talk about how to answer when interviewers ask for recommendations or when they say recommend someone. Sophia wrote that word in her notebook. Good idea. We'll prepare for that too. As they packed their things and got ready to leave, both of them felt a little stronger and more confident. Step by step, they were building the skills they needed. On the 3rd day, Sophia and James arrived early at the coffee shop. They ordered their drinks, found a quiet corner, and opened their notebooks again. Sophia smiled. So far, we've practiced greetings and talking about our background. But James, I think interviews are not only about serious questions. Sometimes the interviewer begins with small talk just to make us feel relaxed. James tilted his head. Small talk? You mean like casual conversation? Sophia nodded. Yes. For example, when we first walk in, the interviewer might say, "Please do come in. Would you like any refreshments?" James repeated carefully. Would you like any refreshments? That means, do you want water, tea, or coffee, right? Exactly, Sophia said. And we can answer politely too. For example, thank you, a glass of water would be fine. Or, no thank you, I'm okay. James chuckled. I think I would say yes to water. My mouth always gets dry when I'm nervous. Sophia laughed too. Me too. But the important thing is to answer politely. They took turns practicing. James, would you like any refreshments? Sophia, thank you. A cup of tea would be lovely. Then Sophia asked, would you like any refreshments? James answered, no, thank you. I'm fine. They smiled at each other, feeling proud of their progress. Sophia continued, after that, the interviewer will probably say, it's a pleasure to meet you. We should reply, the pleasure is all mine. James repeated it 2 times. It's a pleasure to meet you. The pleasure is all mine. He grinned. That sounds so professional. I like it. Sophia wrote the sentences in big letters in her notebook. Yes, these phrases are small, but they make a big difference. They show respect and good manners. James leaned back and took a sip of his coffee. You know, Sophia, before we started this practice, I was very nervous about my interview. But now, little by little, I feel more ready. Sophia smiled warmly. Me too. We just need to keep going. Tomorrow, let's practice how to answer questions about our skills and maybe what we can recommend to improve a company. James agreed. Great idea. Let's do that. They packed their notebooks and promised to meet again the next morning excited for the next step in their journey.
The next morning, Sophia and James met again at their coffee shop. The air smelled of fresh bread and coffee beans. They found their usual table by the window, ready for another round of practice. James opened his notebook. Sophia, yesterday we practiced greetings and polite conversation, but in the real interview, they will ask about our skills. How can we answer that? Sophia thought for a moment. Well, we should focus on the skills that match the job. For example, if the job is in business, I might say, I am good at organizing events and I have strong communication skills. James nodded. That's smart. For me, since my job is in technology, I could say, I am skilled in programming and I enjoy solving technical problems. Sophia clapped her hands softly. Perfect. The important thing is to connect your skills to what the company needs. James leaned forward. And sometimes interviewers might ask, what would you recommend to improve our company? That question sounds difficult. Sophia smiled. Yes, but we don't need to be afraid. We can use polite words and give simple ideas. For example, if it's a business company, I could say, I would recommend using social media more to reach new customers. James wrote it down. That's a good example. For my interview, maybe I could say, I would recommend creating a mobile app to make services easier for clients. Sophia nodded. Exactly. Notice how we use the word recommend politely. We don't say it as if we are the boss. We say it as an idea, a suggestion. James smiled. That makes sense. So instead of sounding like we know everything, we show that we can think creatively. They practiced a few times. I would recommend training new staff regularly. I would recommend adding more modern technology to the office. I would recommend new ways to connect with customers. Sophia looked pleased. Good job, James. I think if we practice like this every day, we'll be ready for any question. James laughed. Yes, we just need to make some time each morning like we are doing now. It's really helping. Sophia smiled warmly. Tomorrow, let's practice how to talk about our achievements and how our background connects to the job. James raised his coffee cup. Deal. Step by step, we're getting stronger. They ended their session with confidence, already looking forward to their next practice. On the fifth morning, Sophia and James met again at the coffee shop. By now, it had become routine. They always brought their notebooks, ordered their drinks, and sat in the same spot by the window. James looked thoughtful. Sophia, yesterday we practiced how to recommend ideas, but I think another important part is the resume. Almost every interviewer will look at it. Sophia agreed. Yes, the resume shows our education, experience, and skills. But sometimes they don't just read it, they ask us to explain. They might say, "Can you fill me in on the details of your resume?" James repeated slowly, "Fill me in on the details." He smiled. That means tell me more, explain more, right? Sophia nodded. Exactly. For example, in my resume, I wrote that I worked in a bookstore. So if they asked me, I could say, I helped manage the cash register, organized new books, and assisted customers every day. This taught me patience and good communication. James wrote that down. That sounds clear and professional. It's not just repeating words from the resume, it gives more details. Sophia smiled. Yes. What about you, James? How would you explain something from your resume? James thought for a moment. In my resume, I wrote that I worked as an intern at a software company. So I could say, during my internship, I worked with a small team to design a mobile application. I learned how to test programs and fix problems. Sophia clapped softly. Perfect! That shows both teamwork and technical skills. They practiced back and forth, pretending to be the interviewer. Sophia asked, James, can you fill me in on the details of your internship? James replied, Yes, of course. I worked with a team to design a mobile app, and I also learned how to test it and improve it. Then James asked, Sophia, can you fill me in on the details of your work at the bookstore? Sophia answered, Certainly. I managed the cash register, helped customers, and kept everything organized. It improved my customer service skills. They both laughed at how natural it was beginning to sound. James leaned back. You know, Sophia, the more we practice, the less nervous I feel. I think we're almost ready. Sophia smiled. Not yet. Tomorrow, we should practice how to answer questions about why we want the job. That's always important. James nodded. Good idea. Let's meet again and prepare for that. With that, they closed their notebooks, confident that step by step they were learning the right words to shine in their interviews. The next morning, Sophia arrived at the coffee shop early. She was already writing in her notebook when James walked in with his usual smile. Good morning, Sophia, James said, placing his bag on the chair. Are you ready for today's practice? Sophia looked up. Yes. Today, let's practice one of the most common questions. Why do you want this job? James nodded. Oh, yes, that question always comes up. And it's not an easy one. We have to show interest in the company and also connect it to our background. Sophia agreed. Yes, exactly. For example, if they ask me, I could say, I want this job because your company has a good reputation for customer service. With my background in business management and my experience in the bookstore, I believe I can contribute to improving customer relations. James wrote it down. That's clear. You showed respect for the company and linked it to your background. Let me try. He took a breath and said, I want this job because Global Tech Solutions is known for innovation. With my background in computer science and my internship experience, I can bring new ideas and help improve your mobile applications. Sophia smiled. Perfect. That's professional and positive. James leaned forward. But, Sophia, what if I forget something during the interview? What if I freeze? Sophia laughed gently. That's okay. We don't have to be perfect. We just need to be polite and clear. Even if we forget a word, we can smile and continue. Interviewers understand. James looked relieved. That makes sense. Also, I think it's smart to say something good about the company. It shows that we are interested, not just looking for any job. Sophia nodded. Yes, that's important. Tomorrow, maybe we can practice what to say at the end of the interview when they ask if we have questions. James chuckled. Good idea. I never know what to ask, but it's better to ask something than to say nothing. They both laughed, feeling their confidence grow. Each practice session was making them stronger, more prepared, and less afraid.
The next morning, Sophia and James met again, both looking more confident than before. Their interviews were getting closer, and they wanted to polish the final details. James stirred his coffee slowly. Sophia, yesterday we practiced answering why we want the job, but I know that at the end of the interviewer usually asks, Do you have any questions for us? I never know what to say there. Sophia nodded. Yes, I used to think the same, but it's actually a great chance to show interest. We can ask polite and simple questions. James leaned forward. Like what? Sophia opened her notebook. For example, can you tell me more about the team I will be working with? What skills do you recommend I focus on if I joined the company? Or what are the next steps after the interview? James repeated them carefully. Those sound professional, and I like how one of them uses the word recommend. That shows we are willing to learn. Sophia smiled. Exactly. Asking questions makes us look curious and serious about the job. James practiced aloud. Can you tell me more about the team I will be working with? Then Sophia practiced. What skills do you recommend I focus on if I join the company? They both laughed, pretending to be interviewers and candidates. Then James asked, Okay, and how do we finish the interview? Just say goodbye? Sophia shook her head. Not only goodbye, it's polite to thank the interviewer. For example, we can say, It was a pleasure to meet you. And the interviewer might reply, The pleasure is all mine, or the other way around. James smiled. Yes, we practiced that earlier. It sounds formal and respectful. Sophia added, And finally, don't forget to smile and shake hands. That leaves a good impression. James nodded seriously. You're right. First impressions are important, but last impressions are just as important. Sophia closed her notebook. Exactly. Tomorrow, let's have one final practice. We'll put everything together, from the greeting to the closing, so we're ready for the real day. James grinned. Perfect. One more practice, and then we'll be ready to shine. They raised their cups once again, feeling proud of how far they had come. It was the last morning before their interviews. Sophia and James sat together at the coffee shop, notebooks closed this time. Today, they were not just practicing single phrases, they were going to do a full rehearsal. James smiled nervously. Okay, Sophia, let's imagine you're the interviewer and I'm the candidate. Start with the greeting. Sophia straightened her back and spoke politely. Please do come in. Would you like any refreshments? James smiled and replied, Thank you. A glass of water would be fine. Sophia continued, It's a pleasure to meet you. James answered confidently, The pleasure is all mine. They both laughed a little, but James felt proud that he remembered the phrases naturally. Then Sophia asked, Can you tell me a little about your background? James replied, Yes, of course. I studied computer science at Riverdale University, and I completed an internship at a software company where I helped design mobile apps. It gave me experience in teamwork and problem solving. Sophia nodded, staying in character. That sounds interesting. Can you fill me in on the details of your internship? James leaned forward. Certainly. I worked with a small team to test applications, fix technical problems, and create better user experiences. It helped me improve my programming skills. Excellent, Sophia said, smiling like a real interviewer. Why do you want this job with our company? James replied smoothly, I want this job because your company is known for innovation. With my background in computer science and my internship experience, I can bring fresh ideas and help improve your mobile services. Sophia nodded. That's a strong answer. Finally, do you have any questions for us? James thought for a second and then asked politely, Yes, can you tell me more about the team I will be working with? And also, what skills would you recommend I focus on if I joined the company? Sophia smiled. Good questions. We value teamwork, and I would recommend focusing on communication and leadership skills. James smiled back. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to meet you. Sophia replied warmly, The pleasure is all mine. They both laughed, ending the role play with a handshake. James leaned back. Wow, that felt almost real. I think I'm ready now. Sophia nodded proudly. Me too. We practiced every step. Greetings, background, resume, recommendations, and closing the interview. I feel much more confident. As they finished their coffee, both Sophia and James felt a quiet excitement. Their interviews were just around the corner, but now they were not afraid. They had the words, the skills, and the confidence to succeed. Turning to the audience, both Sophia and James would say, "And now, dear friends, it's your turn. What phrases would you use in a job interview? Have you ever tried some of the ones we practiced? Share your experience with us. And remember, polite words and confidence can open new doors for you." And with that, their journey of preparation came to an end, ready for a new beginning.
Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word.
Drinks. Refreshment. A meeting at which people talk to each other. Interview. A short document describing your education, work history. Resume. Suggest. Recommend. The experiences, knowledge, education of a person. Background. Manage to find time. Make some time. It's happy to. It's a pleasure to. Give me more information. Fill me in.
Let's try that faster.
Manage to find time. Make some time. Give me more information. Fill me in. Drinks. Refreshment. The experiences, knowledge, education of a person. Background. A meeting at which people talk to each other. Interview. Suggest. Recommend. It's happy to. It's a pleasure to. A short document describing your education, work history. Resume.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Make some time. Can you make some time to meet with me this afternoon? Make some time. Please make time to finish that product today. It's very important. Make some time. I have to make some time to finish that report tomorrow. It's a pleasure to. It's a pleasure to visit the Beijing office again. It's a pleasure to. Mr. Johnson, I've heard so much about you. It's a pleasure to finally meet you. It's a pleasure to. It's a pleasure to be here in New York for the opening ceremony. Fill me in. Amanda wasn't at the marketing meeting yesterday. Can you fill her in on what we discussed? Fill me in. Joe and Stacy are getting married. Come on, fill me in. I want details. Fill me in. I missed what Mr. Wang said about the new system. Would you fill me in, please? Recommend. Avatar is a great movie. I totally recommend it. Recommend. There are many ways we can solve this problem. but I recommend taking a direct approach. Recommend. I would like to recommend Scott for a promotion, but he has been late so often I don't think I can. Background. Jill has a strong background in IT. She studied computer science in university and spent 2 years working for Microsoft. Background. Let's take your picture against a plain white background so it will be easier to edit the photo. Background. President Obama has a varied cultural background. His father is Kenyan, his mother is from Kansas, and he grew up in Indonesia and Hawaii.
Have you ever felt nervous before a job interview? What skills do you think are most important to show during that time? I'd like you to think about your own experiences and share them as we explore this topic together. A job interview is one of the most important steps when trying to get a job. It is the moment when you meet the employer face-to-face, or sometimes online, and show them not only your skills, but also your personality. For many people, interviews feel stressful because they're not sure what to say, how to behave, or even how to answer simple questions. But the truth is, with some preparation and practice, you can learn the skills to handle interviews with confidence. One of the first skills to think about is preparation. Preparation means getting ready before the interview. Employers can quickly see who is prepared and who is not. To prepare, you should learn about the company. What do they do? What products or services do they offer? What are their values? You don't need to know everything, but having some basic knowledge shows respect and interest. A good phrase to practice is, "I read that your company focuses on customer service, and I admire that." This kind of sentence makes a strong impression because it shows you care enough to research. Another part of preparation is knowing your own story. Employers often ask questions like, "Tell me about yourself." Many people feel confused because they don't know how to answer. A simple structure works well. Start with your background, mention your skills, and finish with why you want the job. For example, I studied accounting, I have 2 years of experience working in finance, and I am excited about this opportunity because I enjoy working with numbers and problem solving. This kind of answer is short, clear, and focused. It's also helpful to prepare answers for common interview questions. For instance, what are your strengths or what are your weaknesses? These are not trick questions. They are chances to show self-awareness. For strengths, choose qualities that match the job, like, "One of my strengths is being organized and finishing tasks on time." For weaknesses, be honest but show improvement. Sometimes I get nervous speaking in public, but I have been practicing by joining small group meetings. This shows honesty and growth, which employers respect. Another skill is practicing your body language. In an interview, it's not only about words. Employers look at how you sit, your eye contact, your smile, and even how you shake hands. Positive body language means sitting up straight, keeping your hands relaxed, and looking at the interviewer when you speak. These small things communicate confidence, even if you feel nervous inside. A useful phrase to remember is, "Your body speaks before your mouth opens." This means the way you look often tells more than the words you say. Finally, think about your questions for the employer. At the end of most interviews, they will ask, "Do you have any questions for us?" Many people say no, but that can seem uninterested. Instead, prepare simple questions like, "What qualities do you value most in this role?" Or, "What does a typical day look like here?" This shows you are serious about the job and want to understand it better. So, the first step to strong interview skills is preparation. Knowing the company, knowing yourself, practicing common questions, showing positive body language, and asking smart questions. All of these skills can be learned with practice, and the more you prepare, the more confident you'll feel when the big day arrives. Yeah, so after understanding how preparation can make a big difference, the next important skill in job interviews is learning how to communicate clearly and effectively. Clear communication is not just about speaking English correctly, it's about expressing your thoughts in a simple, confident, and organized way. Employers want to know that you can share ideas without confusion, because in any job, communication is key. One part of clear communication is practicing simple and complete sentences. For example, if an interviewer asks, "Why do you want to work here?" avoid short answers like, "Because I need a job." Instead, you can say, "I want to work here because I admire the company's values and I believe my skills match the role." This sounds professional and shows effort. A useful phrase to practice is, "I am interested in this job because," adding a reason after because makes your answer stronger. Yeah, well, I totally understand that. In interviews, they really love when you talk about teamwork, responsibility, dedication, problem solving, and flexibility. Look, I am flexible and can adapt to new situations quickly. Those are words that employers like to hear because they describe qualities needed in almost every job. Yeah, so if you're new to keeping plants, try something like a snake plant or a ZZ plant. They're pretty easy to take care of. Listening is also part of good communication. Some people prepare their answers so much that they forget to really listen to the question. If you answer the wrong question, it shows you are not paying attention. A good strategy is to repeat part of the question before answering. For example, if asked, "What is your greatest strength?" you can begin with, "My greatest strength is." This keeps your answer clear and focused. Polite expressions can also improve your communication. Simple phrases like, "That's a good question," or "I'd be happy to explain," or "Thank you for asking," make you sound polite and confident. They give you a moment to think before you answer, which is very useful if you feel nervous. Yeah, so finally, remember to keep your answers balanced. Try not to talk too much, but don't answer with only one sentence either. A good answer is usually about 3 to 4 sentences long, enough to give information, but not too long. So, clear communication means using simple and strong sentences, choosing positive words, controlling your tone, listening carefully, and using polite expressions. These skills show that you can share ideas clearly, which is one of the most valuable abilities in any workplace. Another key part of interview success is confidence. Confidence is not about being perfect. It is about showing that you believe in your skills and that you can handle challenges. Many people feel nervous during interviews, but there are practical ways to look and sound more confident, even if you feel unsure inside. One simple way to build confidence is through practice. Practicing common interview questions out loud helps you get comfortable with your answers. You don't need to memorize exact sentences, but you should know the main ideas you want to say. For example, if you practice answering "Why should we hire you?" several times, your brain becomes familiar with the answer, and it will feel easier to say during the real interview. A useful phrase you can use is, "I believe I am a good fit for this role because," and then add your skills or experience. Another way to show confidence is through your body language. When you enter the room, walk with steady steps, sit up straight, and smile. These small actions send a message that you are comfortable and ready. During the conversation, maintain natural eye contact. Not staring, but looking at the interviewer when you speak. This shows respect and honesty. If you feel nervous, you can gently rest your hands on your lap to keep them still instead of fidgeting. Clothing also plays a role in confidence. Wearing neat and professional clothes makes you feel prepared and helps the interviewer see you as serious. You don't always need expensive clothes. Clean, simple, and tidy is enough. A good tip is to dress one level more formal than the job requires. For example, if the job is casual, wear smart casual clothes. If the job is formal, wear business attire. Confidence also comes from positive thinking. Before the interview, remind yourself of your strengths and achievements. Think of times when you solved a problem, worked well in a team, or learned something new. These memories can give you courage. A simple sentence to practice is, I have the skills to succeed in this role, and I am ready to learn more. Saying this to yourself can help calm your nerves. Yeah, so if you're new to keeping plants, try something like a snake plant or a ZZ plant. They're pretty easy to take care of. Yeah, and language can show confidence. Use clear and positive words instead of uncertain ones. For example, I think I can do this job. Say, I can do this job. Instead of maybe I can learn, say, I am willing to learn. These small changes make a big difference in how the employer sees you. Finally, remember that confidence does not mean you have all the answers. If you don't know something, it's okay to say, I am not sure about that, but I am willing to learn. This shows honesty and openness, which are also signs of confidence. So, confidence in an interview is about practice, positive body language, appropriate clothing, positive thinking, strong words, and honesty. Even if you feel nervous inside, these skills help you look confident on the outside, and that can make the interviewer believe in you more. One more important skill for job interviews is the ability to tell your story through examples. Employers don't only want to hear that you are hardworking or responsible, they want proof. The best way to give proof is by using short, clear examples from your past experiences. This shows the interviewer that you have real skills, not just nice words. A very helpful method for sharing examples is called the STAR method. STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. First, you describe the situation, where and when it happened. Next, you explain the task, what responsibility you had. Then you describe the action, what you did to solve the problem or complete the job. Finally, you show the result, what happened because of your action. This structure helps you answer questions in a logical and impressive way. For example, if the interviewer asks, "Can you tell me about a time you worked in a team?" you can answer like this. Last year, in my previous job situation, we had to prepare a presentation for a client task. I worked with 3 colleagues to organize the slides and share ideas. In the end, the client was very happy, and we received positive feedback from our manager. This answer is short but powerful because it shows teamwork and success. Another example might be for the question, "Tell me about a problem you solved." You could say, "In my part-time job at a shop situation, sometimes customers could not find the products they wanted. I decided to create a small guide with product locations. This helped customers shop faster and improved their experience." Again, this answer shows that you can recognize a problem, take action, and achieve a positive outcome. Yeah, so you don't always need big or dramatic stories. Even small examples from school, volunteer work, or part-time jobs can be really effective. The key is to focus on what you did and what was achieved. To prepare, think of 3 or 4 examples before the interview. Write them down and practice saying them out loud. You can prepare one about teamwork, one about problem solving, one about learning something new, and one about handling pressure. That way, when a question comes, you already have a clear story ready. Yeah, so using stories makes you more memorable. Employers will not only hear that you are skilled, they will see your skills in action. This makes your answers real, believable, and much stronger. Another powerful interview skill is learning how to handle difficult questions. Employers often ask questions that test how you think, how you react under pressure, or how honest you are. These questions can feel uncomfortable, but with the right approach, you can answer them in a calm and professional way. One common difficult question is, what is your biggest weakness? Many people feel nervous here, but the goal is not to show that you are perfect. The goal is to show that you are self-aware and improving. A good answer is to choose a real weakness, but also explain how you are working on it. For example, sometimes I take extra time to check my work because I want it to be perfect, but I am learning to balance speed and accuracy. This shows honesty and growth at the same time. Another tricky question is, why did you leave your last job? Or why are you looking for a new job? Even if you had problems in your old job, avoid negative answers like, my boss was terrible. Instead, focus on positive reasons. You can say, I wanted to find a position where I can grow my skills and take on new challenges. This keeps the answer professional and forward-looking. Sometimes interviewers ask, why should we hire you? This is your chance to sell yourself. Don't be shy. Explain your strengths clearly. For example, you should hire me because I am organized, reliable, and motivated. I also bring 2 years of experience in customer service, which matches the needs of this role. This answer is direct, positive, and confident. There are also behavioral questions like, tell me about a time you made a mistake. Here, the best way is to admit a real mistake, but then focus on what you learned. For example, once I forgot to double-check a report, and there was a small error. I learned to always review my work carefully, and since then, I've improved my attention to detail. Employers respect people who can admit mistakes and show growth. Some interviewers may also ask about salary. If they ask, what salary are you expecting? It's best not to give an exact number immediately, especially if you don't know the company's budget. You can answer, I am open to discussing salary, and I'm more interested in finding the right role where I can contribute and grow. This keeps the conversation positive and flexible. By practicing answers to difficult questions, you can turn them from stressful moments into opportunities to show honesty, professionalism, and a strong attitude. These are qualities that every employer looks for. Another skill that makes a big difference in job interviews is showing good manners and professionalism. Employers don't only look at your answers, they also watch how you behave. Professional behavior creates a positive impression and shows that you would represent the company well if you were hired. One part of professionalism is punctuality. Arriving on time, or even 10 minutes early, shows respect for the interviewer's time. Being late without a serious reason gives a bad first impression. If the interview is online, professionalism means joining the video call a few minutes early to test your microphone, camera, and internet connection. A simple phrase you can use if you have a small delay is, I'm very sorry for being late, and I appreciate your patience. Politeness is another key. From the moment you enter the building or join the call, greet people with a smile and a respectful tone. Use polite words like please, thank you, and I appreciate your time. For example, at the start, you can say, thank you for giving me the chance to interview today. At the end, you can add, I appreciate the opportunity to share my experience. These short sentences show good manners and gratitude. Professionalism also includes how you dress and carry yourself. As mentioned before, neat, clean, and simple clothes are best. In addition, avoid chewing gum, checking your phone, or interrupting the interviewer. Keep your focus on the conversation because it shows that you are serious about the opportunity. Yeah, so respectful listening is another form of professionalism. Don't just wait for your turn to speak. Show that you are engaged by nodding, smiling, or saying short responses like, "Yes, I understand," or "That makes sense." These small signals show that you are paying attention.
Following up after the interview is also part of professional behavior. Many candidates forget this step. A polite thank you email or message the same day can make you stand out. A simple example is, "Thank you again for the interview today. I enjoyed learning more about the role, and I am very interested in the opportunity to contribute to your team." This shows respect, interest, and good communication skills.
Useful phrases for professionalism include, "Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I really appreciate your time and attention. It was a pleasure speaking with you. I look forward to hearing from you." By showing punctuality, politeness, respectful listening, professional appearance, and good follow-up, you build an image of someone who is reliable and respectful. These qualities often matter just as much as your skills because employers want team members who bring both ability and good behavior to the workplace. The final skill that can make your job interview successful is learning how to close the interview with strength. The way you finish the conversation often leaves the last impression in the interviewer's mind, so it is important to end on a positive and professional note. When the interviewer says, "Do you have any questions for us?" this is your chance to show interest and curiosity. Instead of saying no, prepare 1 or 2 simple questions. For example, what qualities are most important for success in this role? Or, what do you enjoy most about working at this company? These questions show that you care about the role and want to understand the company better. So, after asking your questions, it's good to express enthusiasm for the job. Employers want to know that you are motivated. A useful phrase is, "I am very interested in this position, and I believe I could contribute positively to your team." This type of sentence communicates both confidence and excitement. Another step is to thank the interviewer politely. A simple thank you can leave a strong impression. You can say, "Thank you very much for taking the time to speak with me today. I really appreciate the opportunity." Gratitude shows good character and respect, which are qualities every employer values. It is also smart to confirm what happens next. Interviews often end with some uncertainty, so asking politely can give you clarity. A good phrase is, "Could you please tell me what the next step in the process will be?" This shows that you are serious and want to stay informed. Finally, your body language and tone during the closing moments are just as important as your words. Stand up confidently, shake hands firmly if it is in person, or smile warmly if it is online. Keep your tone calm, friendly, and professional. Closing an interview is not about adding new information. It is about showing interest, respect, and professionalism. By asking thoughtful questions, expressing enthusiasm, giving thanks, and confirming the next step, you leave the room with confidence. A job interview is never just about answering questions. It is about preparation, communication, confidence, storytelling, handling challenges, showing professionalism, and closing strongly. If you can build these skills step by step, you will not only feel more confident in interviews, but you will also open more doors to opportunities in your career.